Sangonomiya Kokomi is one of the top healers in Genshin Impact, and she can keep your team alive against even the toughest of adversaries. She's a rare healer that can also deal damage on her own, so she can be helpful in filling multiple roles on a team. To ascend Kokomi to max level, you'll need the Spectral drops from Spectre enemies in Inazuma, the Dew of Repudiation boss drop from the Hydro Hypostasis boss on Watatsumi Island, and the Sango Pearl local specialty item, also primarily found on Watatsumi Island in Inazuma. For her talent levels, Kokomi uses the Transience Materials from the Violet Court domain in the Narukami Island area. They are obtainable on Mondays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Her weekly boss drops for higher talent levels are the Hellfire Butterflies, a reward from defeating the Crimson Witch of Embers in Inazuma. Since Kokomi can both heal and do good damage on field, all of her talents will be useful to level. If you are more interested in her damage output, then you'll want to prioritize leveling her Elemental Burst and normal attack talents first, and then her Elemental Skill after that. Otherwise, focus on her Elemental Skill first, as it applies Hydro to enemies as well as gives healing for the active character, and then work on leveling her Elemental Burst and normal attack. There are two main ways to build Kokomi, and it will just depend on whether you want to maximize her personal damage or focus primarily on strengthening her healing. No matter your choice, Kokomi is a very strong healer, and that will be her primary function. She heals her entire party even when she's on the field, dealing damage to enemies with her burst, and her skill heals the active character. She does have a third build for a very specific type of team, but we'll look at that a bit later in this video. Her signature 5-star weapon is Everlasting Moonglow. It is her best choice if you want to focus on maximizing her damage output, and Kokomi can take full advantage of its benefits. The runner-up choice, if you don't have that, is the 4-star craftable prototype Amber Catalyst. This is my recommended option for her overall because it suits Kokomi regardless of whether you're using damage or healing-focused builds. It is relatively easy to get since it's a craftable weapon, and it fits her perfectly because it boosts her HP percent, it gives her additional energy recharge, and it even increases her team healing whenever she uses her Elemental Burst. Another great choice for her is actually the 3-star Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers, as it boosts her HP percent stat while also giving an attack buff to her teammates. It is more suited to healing support roles, but it can work okay for a damage-focused Kokomi too, though there are better options for that. It is a very easy weapon to get from wishes on banners, so every player can have it readily available. If you don't have or prefer to use any of those weapons for Kokomi, here are some other good weapon choices she can benefit from. The artifact set to equip Kokomi with if you want to maximize her damage output is Ocean-Hued Clam. The 4-piece bonus provides her with a healing bonus and periodically deals damage to enemies based around how much Kokomi manages to heal her team. The artifact main stats to use for a damage-focused Kokomi build are HP percent or energy recharge for the Sands piece, Hydro damage bonus for the Goblet, and either healing bonus or HP percent for the Circlet. The artifact substats a damage-focused Kokomi benefits most from are HP percent, energy recharge, flat HP, and attack percent. If instead you want to maximize Kokomi's healing or use her to help buff teammates, then you can choose between either a 4-piece Ocean-Hued Clam or a 4-piece Tenacity of the Millilith set. The latter provides a useful HP percent bonus for Kokomi, but instead of adding to her personal damage output, the 4-piece bonus boosts teammates' attack percent and shield strength stats. Both sets are excellent choices for Kokomi, so it's just a matter of using the one you find the most helpful. The artifact main stats for a healing or buffer support focused Kokomi to use are HP percent or energy recharge for the Sands piece, HP percent for the Goblet, and either healing bonus or HP percent for the Circlet. And the substats she wants to use here are HP percent, energy recharge, and flat HP. For newer players that aren't able to get these artifact sets yet, I would recommend either the Scholar or Exile sets as a temporary alternative. They both give energy recharge stat boosts to Kokomi directly on their 2-piece bonuses, and additional energy recharge to her teammates with their 4-piece effects. In general, Kokomi's abilities are all based around her maximum HP, so the more HP percent stats she has, the stronger her healing and elemental burst will be. One thing that's important to note about Kokomi is that she does not benefit from crit stats at all. In fact, she comes with a built-in minus 100% to her crit rate stat, making it almost impossible to perform critical hits with her, so just keep that in mind when building her. As for her Constellations, Kokomi is a character that performs very well even without any Constellations unlocked, so they are not strictly necessary. But of course, all Constellations are beneficial for any character if you happen to have them. Her first Constellation does add a nice damage boost to her elemental burst, which can be helpful especially if you are focusing on maximizing her damage potential. Her second Constellation improves her ability to heal teammates that have less than half of their max HP. Her fourth Constellation is especially beneficial for her because it increases her attack speed and energy recharge when her elemental burst is active. Her final sixth Constellation further increases her damage output during her elemental burst, as long as her teammates are in relatively good health. But again, Kokomi does just fine even at Constellation 0, so you don't have to worry about these too much if they are out of reach. Let's see how to play as Kokomi. As a Catalyst wielder, Kokomi's normal attacks all do elemental damage to enemies, in her case, Hydro damage. Her elemental skill creates a Hydro Jellyfish that deals periodic damage and applies Hydro element to enemies in an area around it. And at the same time, it also heals the active character who comes in contact with its waves. The skill remains active even when Kokomi is off-field, so it's very useful to quickly switch to her, use her elemental skill near enemies, and switch back to any character that needs healing, or else your main damage dealer can be supported for a number of seconds after that with periodic healing if they stay within its effective radius. It works outside of battle too if you need to heal teammates. As a potential downside to using her elemental skill, it also applies the wet status to the active character that comes in contact with it. So it is possible to have elemental reactions like frozen or electro-charged suddenly occur on your character as a result. It's not the end of the world, but it can be annoying when it happens, so just beware of that drawback. Her elemental burst, on the other hand, only stays active while she is on the field herself, so if you use it and switch off of her, it will end the duration of her burst prematurely. However, it also lasts for a period of time, and greatly increases the damage Kokomi can do to enemies with her normal attacks. With every successful hit of her normal attacks while her burst period is active, it also heals her entire team a significant amount. She is able to quickly and fully restore her entire team's health this way, at the same time that she deals good damage to enemies. As a fun bonus, you can walk on top of water while Kokomi's elemental burst is active. It doesn't last very long though, so try not to rely on it for crossing larger bodies of water. If you are using the Ocean-Hued Clam artifact set for her, you will see a bubble appear whenever Kokomi performs healing for her teammates. This bubble will pop periodically and deal additional damage based on how much Kokomi healed her teammates during a given period. Not only does this contribute to her personal damage output, but it provides important utility for Kokomi whenever she is facing hydro-immune enemies. The damage that the Ocean-Hued Clam does is physical damage, so it gives her a way to deal damage to hydro-immune enemies that she otherwise could not defeat on her own. She is relatively simple to play overall. Just use her skill for periodic healing of the active character, and to apply Hydro Element and damage enemies around it. Then switch to her for her burst, and play as her on field, dealing increased damage to enemies and healing her entire team throughout its duration. As one of the game's top healers, Kokomi is a great fit for almost every team, so you can put her almost anywhere and have a good experience. But there are a few teams that she's particularly suited to. She works great in freeze reaction teams, as her hydro application from her skill and normal attacks allows for easy frozen reactions by simply adding cryo. She also works well in Electro-Charged focused teams as the team healer, and she can apply hydro to many enemies in an area, so the Electro-Charged reaction can easily spread between them. If you pair her up with Furina specifically, Kokomi can be the main DPS role character on an all-hydro team too. Characters like Yelan, Xingqiu, and Kazuha can all offer support and sub-DPS damage for a 3 or 4 hydro element team setup. Finally, for bloom reaction teams with all hydro and dendro characters, Kokomi has an alternative build and focus. These teams work especially well with Nilou, who is specifically built for strengthening bloom reactions, but you can also use characters like Yelan or Xingqiu, and if you want to aim for a hyper bloom variation, you can include electro characters like Raiden or Shinobu. You will need at least one dendro element character to complete the team composition, though you may prefer having 2 for the dendro elemental resonance as well. For these types of bloom reaction teams, Kokomi's stat priority becomes elemental mastery to maximize the reaction's damage. Thus, her best weapon for such cases is the 5-star Catalyst 8000 Floating Dreams. If you don't have that, then here are some other good Catalyst choices that can provide her with additional elemental mastery. Her best artifact set for bloom teams is the Flower of Paradise Lost, or alternatively you could use the Gilded Dreams set as well. The main stat priority to use for artifacts are all elemental mastery on the Sands, Goblet, and Circlet. Her substat priority includes elemental mastery on the flower and plume pieces, as well as HP percent, energy recharge, and flat HP as usual. Other than these changes to her build, she still fulfills the familiar roles of team healer, hydro applicator, and even damage dealer depending on the team composition, even with the bloom focus. So now you should have a good idea of how to build and play as Kokomi. She's one of the best healers in the game, and will be a very useful asset on almost any team. So she's a great character to get when the opportunity presents itself. If you appreciated this video, please leave a like, and if you're interested in seeing more, you can subscribe to my channel to receive notifications when new videos go up, and you can find my other Genshin Impact guides here. Thank you for watching. See you again soon.